Did you notice that Python's print is now a function and not a statement? That was not always the case. In Python 2 it was actually a statement, as you can see here in the ChatGPT answer. And I remember going from a statement to a print function when switching from 2 to 3. It was kind of weird, but you got a lot in return. You might not think about other than the standard use cases, but there's actually quite a lot of things you can do with the print function. And in this video I wanted to show 5 lesser known features of print. Alright, let's look at the print function. And of course, you will use it 99% like this. But if you do a help on print, there's actually way more options. You have sep, end, file, flush. In this video I want to show examples of those. So print can actually get multiple arguments. And that's fine. It will just concatenate them in a space. But you can actually give it a separator as well. So when... Hello world. So when you do something like print join list and of course that's comma dot join, you can accomplish the same thing by giving print multiple arguments and using the comma separator. So that's one. Secondly, you can use a different ending. Print by default prints a newline \n, and that's usually fine for what you need. But if you want, you can give it a different ending. Here I end it with a space, and effectively you don't see it dropping to the new line as the standard print would, right? So here implicitly you see this new line kicking in, right? So if I specify a different end, we can give it a different ending. So that could be useful when, for example, you're looping over a sequence and you would print each of them, but for some reason you don't want to do that and you want to give them a comma. But yeah, then the last one has a trailing comma, so you might want to address that. But yeah, that could be useful. Third, printing to standard error. So let's get out of the REPL and demo this with a simple script. And we do a regular print. Let's say standard out. And we do another print standard error, and then we send that to sys standard error. And for that we need to import sys. And let's see how this works. So if I run python a.py, I get the 2 prints. However, what you cannot see here is that the first line is printed to standard out and the second line is printed to standard error. And a bit of Unix knowledge is that there are 2 file descriptors. So first, or 1 is standard out and 2 is standard error. And you can use the greater than to redirect these different streams. I can write the standard out, 1 to out, and I can write the standard error, or 2 to error. So now you won't see anything printed to the console because I've redirected both streams. So if you then look at out, the standard out line was captured there. And if I do a cat of error, the standard error was captured there. So if you want to print to different streams, standard output and standard error, this is the way to do it. So by default, by not specifying file, it writes to standard out. But if you want to write it to standard error, import sys and specify your file argument. Now staying with that file argument for number 4, you can also redirect print to a file. So if I would open a file.txt with write mode as f, standard with statement or context manager to make sure that the file is automatically closed after the with block ends. So when you're here, the file's automatically closed. So I can specify f, or the file handle, here in file. And I can say some output. And now it's not going to print it to the screen. It's going to print it to the file. So if I run python a.py, nothing happens, but there's a new file called file.text. And if I cat that, I see that same line. So that's number 4. You can actually print to a file. Now on to the last one, calling help again. So we did sep, we did end, we did file, and now you have flush as well. And to demo that, let's do a bit of setup. So I'm going to demo this again with the a.py. And for this example, I have this code, and we're going to print initializing using one of the previous tips to end it with a space, not a new line. Then we're going to sleep for 2 seconds, simulating some time-consuming operation. And then I'm going to print done. Now, when I run this, I would hope to see initializing first, sleep, and then print done. However, if I do this, nothing is printed. So that's where flush comes in. So by default, that's false. But if I set it to true, you can make sure that that print is going to the standard output right before the sleep. So if I run it now, and of course I need to better watch what I'm typing. Typing and talking at the same time is hard. And now indeed the first print is visible before the sleep, whereas before that was not the case, right? So without flushing, the output might stay behind and it will show up too late, right? I've not run into this a lot, but it's good to know. And that's what the flush flag of the print function is for. So there you go, 5 lesser known features of the print function. I hope this is helpful. Subscribe below to not miss any of our content. We post several Python videos every week. We talk about PDM, we have podcasts. There's a lot of cool stuff happening with Pybites, which is always on the intersection of Python, developer, and mindset. Not to be forgotten, often the most important thing. So thanks for watching, thanks for supporting us, and see you in the next video.